Hi, I'm Jenny Ray, the Managing Director of Management Consulted, and I'm back today to talk about networking, one of my favorite topics. And specifically today, I'm going to talk about a networking map. One of the things that I'm going to highlight is just how everything leads up to a standard culminating point for networking. And as I've mentioned before, networking has a real strategy to it. And if you follow a process, which we've laid out in our networking Bible, you're going to be successful. There's no doubt about it. And that's one of the reasons why I love networking, and I love what we've put together on networking because it's something totally different and also very, very helpful and very practical for a lot of people. Breaking into consulting is challenging. Networking is one of the absolute best ways to do it. So what I'm going to walk through today are 4 things that are important for you to keep in mind when you're building your networking plan, 4 tools that you're going to use. And one of them in particular is kind of what everything is leading to. So let me give a start with the first tool. The first tool is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, as many of you know, is a very popular platform where you can share a lot of information. LinkedIn is not my favorite way to connect with people. I don't love receiving emails on LinkedIn. In fact, in many situations, I think it's a little bit creepy to receive information on LinkedIn from somebody who I don't know, because it means not only are they contacting me, but also they've done a lot of research about me beforehand. So my favorite way when I was at the consulting firms and also now to be contacted is not through LinkedIn. I would always prefer to be contacted directly. So the next thing that I want to talk about are ways that you can contact people directly. The first is through email, and email is by far your best tactic. Now, when I talked about LinkedIn, what I said was, yes, it's great that you're on there, but I don't want to be contacted through LinkedIn. However, LinkedIn can be a fantastic tool to use to get the email of somebody who's inside a consulting firm. So in general, I would be happy if somebody did research on me on LinkedIn, but then emailed me directly. Many consulting firms have very standard email monikers. It's very easy to figure out once you know the first and last name of someone, what their email is going to be when you put it into the formula. And so it's up to you to be really intelligent about doing research for people in behind the scenes using a tool like LinkedIn and then converting that to email. Another way that's really beneficial that you can do this is by approaching people at info sessions, or even just taking down their names at info sessions. For those of you who are early on in your college or your MBA career, it's really beneficial to go to information sessions before you're even targeted. So for example, if the information session is really targeted at the junior audience or a senior audience in undergrad, then you want to go when you're a sophomore, because what you can do is you can collect the information of people who are speaking. You can contact them directly and build a relationship so that you'll be one step ahead of everyone who's just trying to rush them when they're in the actual information session. You can also get cards at information sessions, and a lot of people will pass them out, and you can email people directly based on this as well. There's a final way that it's helpful to get email, and this just falls into the straight up email bucket, which is you can Google someone and you can put the email moniker into Google. So when you're laying out a way to find their email address, you can definitely build that all together. When you're approaching someone, whether you approach them by email, which is preferred, or you start with the info session, or you start with LinkedIn, or you do those in any combination, the ultimate goal is to get to the middle of the pyramid here. And the middle of the pyramid is a call. If you exchange information with somebody by email, it's likely that they will answer questions, but that's not building a relationship. Building a relationship is when you set up a 15 to 30 minute informational interview and you're able to really impress them during that time. And I'm going to talk about informational interviews in a separate video, but specifically what I'm talking about there is driving all of your communication to a quick call with the person so that you can have a really enjoyable time with them and impress them during the call. So email is pretty critical as a way of reaching out. That's the way most consultants prefer to be reached. You can do research in many ways. And then finally, ultimately, you want to drive to the call. Now, what I want to talk about is the calendar for when this should happen. And I'm specifically going to lay it out for a number of different areas. This isn't just for networking. It's actually your strategy calendar for an entire application process. And the one that I'm going to talk through is one that is for a standard full-time recruiting process, which is the busiest time of year for consulting firms, for both experienced hires and for straight up on-campus hires. So here we go. We're going to walk through this. Basically, the research of the consulting industry, which includes researching contacts, should start if the process for interviews actually starts in September and October, should start in May, so many months beforehand. And you need to be doing research of the consulting industry right from the very beginning all the way through. Networking should start in June or July and continue in August and September, but you really should be having informational calls with people, preferably before recruiting season even starts. Then you're going to go through identifying your target firms and application states. So really using the networking process, not just to answer transactional questions, but actually build tailored programs and applications to each of your favorite firms. In addition, you want to begin preparing your resume and cover letter. Your resume should be pretty standard across firms. Your cover letter needs to be tailored. Networking, really critical for the cover letter. Then you want to begin to prepare for case interviews. Case interviews vary by firm, so understanding the firms that you have the strongest connections with can help you differentiate your case interview practice process. Then you want to start attending info sessions, hopefully not the first ones that you've been to, but it's still great to get insights and context at those information sessions. Finally, you want to drop your resume and then hopefully at that point be really ready for the interview and you can begin preparing for the fit interview process. Then ultimately you've got your interviews about 1 month later and then the offers come out. Hopefully those offers, one of them will be yours. So as you go through this process, it's really essential to understand that many people currently start their networking process at the day that the info session happens. And you are more than halfway through what should have been happening at that point. So if you can use your summer ahead of time to your strategic advantage and even time before that to both research context and also to plan and prepare, you're going to be ready and you'll be able to use networking to the greatest benefit. We hope that you've enjoyed this video and we've got lots more like it as well as tons of information on networking at managementconsulted.com.